Ladies and gentlemen, it is just our luck after prep and prep and prep. Welcome to our first podcast, and we are still haunted with just first go errors from the beginning. We are experiencing some issues, and if this cuts off near the very end, I think we're just going to stop with what we got, post it, and hope to God that doesn't happen. Welcome to Hurry Up and Tech, where we talk about the future of technology, where it's going, our love for it, what it does for us. We're just a couple of guys who enjoy technology. My name is Randy.
My name is Mike.
And let's just get right into it and hope nothing bad happens.
Yeah, let's dig in. So our first topic for today, let's talk about the Apple Watch. So Apple Watch was shown off, what was that, October of 2014? Is that correct?
October 2014, yep.
And then we actually got our hands on it in April. I believe it was April.
I got mine the first day it shipped.
Yeah, you got it. I didn't get mine for, it was like 2 months after that. So I was a little behind the curve.
Right. Yeah, I remember you almost defaulted and got something you didn't want. And
yes.
Luckily, our friend George was able to.
Yeah, George pulled me out of the fire there, so that was good.
So, well, show us what you're rocking right now.
Okay, so here's mine. I got the space gray, 42 millimeter Apple Watch Sport with a new white band. I actually just got this a couple weeks ago. Rocking the white.
I like it a lot. I do.
Yeah.
That's for me, I too got the sports space gray 42 millimeter, but I got the black leather, and naturally, just like you, I
got the black leather as well. Yes.
And then I have this one.
Yep, I got the black as well.
And then I have a third party one because I wanted the metal one to actually simulate my old watch that I have right here.
Yeah. I have a third party as well. Mine is another leather third party. Pretty nice. Made by Nomad. I don't know if you've ever heard of Nomad. They were a Kickstarter company.
Yeah, I only heard it from you though. Yeah. But I did the research and I like some of their stuff. I like the third party stuff that they have. No different than like iPhone cases and stuff like that. Third party. I appreciate stuff made outside of Apple that's made for Apple because you can find good uses out of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what are your thoughts? Tell me what you think about your 9 months into it now since you've got it. What are your thoughts? What do you think about it?
So first, like design-wise, gorgeous piece, right? It's not real big. You look at some of the other smartwatches out there, especially like Samsung or LG, and they were just these massive watches that you're wearing on your wrist, and it's like sticking off and doesn't look that good, right? It looks like a smartwatch, like a nerd's watch. Apple went the other way. They went real, small and it fits to your wrist real nice, so it doesn't stand out.
It looks like a regular watch.
Looks like a regular watch, right? So they definitely win me over there for the looks. As for usability, at first you start using apps and stuff, and you're installing stuff and playing with it, but kind of it's all that has slid into the background for me, and I pretty much use it for the time and getting notifications, and that's about it. It's very rare that I actually hop into the honeycomb home screen and actually look for an app.
That's very interesting you say that because I know that I feel the same way. I'm the exact same way about it. And I know we're not alone with all the other Apple Watch users that have it. When you first got it, you're in the honeymoon phase and you love it and you're just trying to push it to its limits and see what you can do. And then after the hype wears down, you start to it does become an extension of you that you feel like you do need it, but it's primarily for timekeeping, notifications, short response, for people.
Yeah. Siri works really well on it. So if you just need to send a quick little response, it works pretty good with that. And then also the built-in responses that you can quickly tap.
Right.
Those are pretty nice. I remember when we first got them, you could do the little drawings and the tap and the heartbeat stuff.
Yeah.
We did that a lot to begin with, but that also kind of was like, it fades, and it's tough, like writing little notes and stuff on there. So
right. The screen real estate is so small that my thumb would cover primarily the whole screen anyway. So I don't know how much typing I would get done if I was trying to send little notes. I do the heartbeat thing when I'm trying to check my pulse, and the only way I know how is by sending you my heartbeat. So I just want to know that I'm alive.
Okay.
So whenever you get notifications about me giving you my hearts, because I'm just checking my heart rate at that moment.
Yeah, I was wondering. You did that to me
A few days ago.
Yeah, a few days ago. I'm like, oh, look, heartbeat.
Yeah, I did it just because. And George has done the same thing. One time I got a heartbeat from just out of sheer randomness.
Yep. Yeah.
And then being in Dubai, I'm sleeping and dude's awake, and sometimes I might sleep with the watch on because I'm testing something.
Oh yeah.
I wake up to the little.
Yep. Yeah, it's like you have 4 new notifications. Like,
yeah,
oh, okay.
Little things here and there, but I mean, as of right now, I think it's more or less a gimmick, but it's a cute little gimmick. I think the next iteration they might expand a little bit further.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll have something to play part of it in regards to the camera that rumored to have it, and which we'll find out in.
Oh man, I hope they don't put a camera in there. Can you imagine walking around like this trying to FaceTime?
I know. So I'm thinking it's either going to be something like off into the corner, or I remember seeing some where they have the camera like that, so you can be more James Bond about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if they actually do that. It wouldn't surprise me. Just to sell more.
Yeah, it's true. They wanted to try to, because they still haven't released their numbers about how much they've sold.
Yep,
so I think they're going to try to appeal to the audience there on that. Sure. But I want to make a comment about the little honeycomb screen that you talk about and how you really don't use it. I'm actually a little bit on the opposite end. I actually end up using it almost on a daily, because when I set timers, I do it on my watch, and I have to do it from right there because the way it's set up, I go straight into it.
So I do the same thing with the timers, but I actually have it on my watch face.
Yeah.
And so I can set the timer, and I can set a stopwatch. So I have those quick action right on the face. Let's
talk about the face real quick. I noticed that we have the same face, and I think it's universally everyone's using the same face.
Yeah, right? I think that's very true. Because it's a smartwatch, right? And so it can give you a lot of information. And this is the only screen that gives you a ton of information at one glance.
Right.
So like I have the date, the time, the weather in the middle, and then I have a UTC clock. So I have another clock set up on there. We use UTC a lot at work. So it's nice to just glance down. Oh yeah, it's right now it's 12:59 UTC. So that's good to have. And then I have a timer and a stopwatch. And so you can saturate all that information onto one screen. And I really think that with the next iteration, so watchOS 3, because we're on 2 right now, right? So it'll be 3. I think we need more faces.
I agree. I switch my faces. I can count maybe 3 times where I utilize. For example, if I wanted to go out, I remember doing this on purpose for the occasion. I dressed up really nice, and I had the leather band, this one, so it went with my attire, and I actually switched the face to make it more naked. So that way it would remind me of my old watch that I had, and this was it. And the beauty about this one, the reason I even bought the watch in the first place was because this was cheaper than this when this came out, because it was solar power. That was its power there. And I spent about $400 on this as opposed to $350 for that. Now, granted, now I've invested a little bit more to get all the different customizations on the bands and stuff. But for functionality, this was cheaper for so much more, and I already have the iPhone, so I was sold for it. But I liked the simplicity of this one, and I wanted to bring it to that. So I used this face one other time, and I think it was like on a New Year's Eve party. And then I used this one just so I can play with the sun about when the sun goes down. But I never keep it because, like you said, you have all that information right there, and I absolutely love it, and I think that's why everybody sticks with it too. And it's smart. I think I'm going to switch mine to have my timer, my stopwatch on there. I got rid of the workout, the activity band, even though I do use it. I pull it up and I look at it.
If I ever need that info, because I don't need it at a quick glance. I'm not too focused on it. Right. But if I need it, I pull up from the bottom and do the glances, and then I can just quickly go to it.
So on my face, I have the date up here. I have my calendar. So actually, I'm using no third-party face or home screen stuff on it.
Right.
So I have the date. I have my calendar. I have the weather outside because I love to remind myself how beautiful San Diego is. And then I replaced it with where I had the activity with the moon, only because I was actually more or less feeling it. I didn't even think about putting a stopwatch on there. And then my battery life, because I want to know. But talking about the battery life, I know that they said you get a day's worth out of it. And truth be told, if we don't really use it, it's at a glance, just like you. Okay, got what I needed, and you put it down. I have pushed this thing to 3 days without having to put it on a charge, and I love that.
And I usually charge it every night, so I use it as my alarm clock. So I switched from using my phone as my alarm clock, and I went to the watch. The reason for that is because, you know, my alarm goes off at 4:30, so I can get up and work out, and I don't want to disturb Allison. I don't want to wake her up, and the watch has a really nice, just enough to wake me up, and not wake somebody else up, and so that's why I switched. So it's always, I have a little stand, and it's always charging. So, but usually when I come home from the day, and I wear it pretty much till I'm ready to go to bed. When I go and put it on the stand, it's at like 70% still.
Nice.
So I could definitely see pushing it 3 days.
Yeah, and that was me just trying to see how far I can get it before it died. Because I'm still old school, where when I get something, I try to kill it and then recharge it, even though they swear you don't have to do that anymore.
Right. Yeah.
I still do it for good measure, just in case. And so because of that, one day I was like, yo, this thing hasn't died yet. This is cool. Because my phone, I have to put that thing on a charger at least 2 times a day.
Oh, yeah.
I'm always on my phone. This whole switching it from your phone to your screen, it didn't happen for me. I'm still on my phone most of the time. I get my notifications, especially for Twitter, and I'll see it. And Instagram, people I follow on Instagram, I'll get a notification. But beyond that, it just tells me, hey, somebody sent you a Snapchat. Somebody sent you something on Facebook. Facebook Messenger, I can read the messages, but if it's multiple, it'll just say 2 messages, 5 messages, but you can't read it. Right. So I'm always on my phone.
Right. And I like that. I like that the notification pops up and you can say, oh, okay, yeah, I got a Snapchat or I got an email. Okay. And you can decide, like, well, do I need to pull my phone out and deal with it now, or can it wait? And it's nice just to be, oh, nope, I don't need to worry about it, and just keep going about your day. It's nice. That's probably the killer app or killer feature for the watch, is just having those notifications where you quickly glance at it and then you decide what you want to do with it and move on. And it's not distracting, people. It's not like you're sitting at a table at dinner, like with your phone, like, oh yeah, hold on, I'm just doing this, right?
And being very rude and disrespectful.
Right. So it's a quick glance and then you're out.
Right. Hey, it came in such a clutch for me when I'm driving, because I'm right there, and my right hand, I drive stick, so I'm always shifting around, and so having it right there, I just go like that. Okay, poop, 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 and I gotta do what I gotta do. So let me ask you this, Mike.
Yeah.
Because I'm holding my reservations on it right now, but will you get Apple Watch 2?
Yeah, that's a tough question. The rumor is they're going to release it in March, or show it off in March at a keynote, right? March.
And then we'll get it next year.
Yeah, probably. Knowing them, right? So I believe the rumored date is March 15th. So, that's coming up pretty quick. That's, a little over about 20 days away, right?
Right.
So it's coming up quick. Will I get one? I don't know. I have to see what they add to it and what other capabilities are there. I don't know if I can really justify spending another, $400 for a new one, when really all I use it for is time and notifications, right? And I track my workouts and stuff with it. So it's replaced. I had a Fitbit for a while, so it replaced the Fitbit. I also had a Misfit. I don't know if you've ever heard of a Misfit tracker.
No, I haven't.
That one was pretty good. It actually used one of those old school watch batteries, the big CR32 batteries, and would go for like months. So it was a nice tracker. But the watch pretty much replaced that, and it does a fairly decent job at tracking everything, I think. The heart rate's a little weird. I notice when I'm working out, I know my heart rate's jacked, right? It's all the way up there. And I look down and it's like, oh, you're doing 68 beats per minute. I'm like, there's There's no way that's right. You know, I'm up at 180. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But and I think that's just because it's on your wrist. It's not an actual, because the normal heart rate monitors are right on your heart, right?
Right. Yeah.
So it's not going to be all that accurate, and I understand that and everything. I don't know if I can justify spending the money on another one. Maybe the third one.
Maybe.
I guess it just depends.
See, for me, being a watch wearer my whole adult life, and actually even like when I was in high school too, I had one watch and I run that to the ground. I mean, theoretically, I could still be wearing this one right now, but this one's more convenient for me. And it, just like you said, it does everything I needed to, and even a little bit more, just for the sake of doing it. I don't see Apple Watch being like iPhone. I see Apple Watch like an iPad, an iMac, a MacBook. You have it and you use it for many years because there's no need to have a next iteration of it, unless there was a hardware issue. And as we know, especially for the sports one, there is no hardware issues that we have for it. It's still complete. I've had it now. We're almost in a year. We're 10 months, 9 months into it.
Right.
I don't have a scratch on it anywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm very hands-on outside. So no scratches. It works great. The screen is fine. I don't need the I don't even know what was the screen for the regular watch. What was it?
It was I think it's Gorilla Glass 3.
For ours, this one or the next
No,
one?
for this. Oh, for the next iteration?
No, for what's so we got sports.
Okay. So the Apple Watch, just the watch, was, I believe it was Sapphire.
They had Sapphire? Okay, I thought so. And
Yeah.
Sapphire as well for the gold, right?
For the gold as well, yes.
Okay, so yeah, not having Sapphire has not caused any issues for the
I
face
haven't
at
had
all.
any problems with that at all. And I'm pretty, like you, I'm pretty hard on it. So
Yeah, so
no,
I
it's
don't.
been fine.
I don't see a reason to have to go out and drop another $400.
Yeah, I agree.
Just to stick with what I got. I love it. It's fine. It does what I need to. I'm not on it every day like on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't so competitive with the smartphones, I would have kept maybe my iPhone 6 or hell, even maybe the 5S still. But I think the only thing I'm ever going to upgrade yearly is going to be the phone because that's my, that's my thing. I like having the next greatest and all that. But like the iMac, I'm going to stick with this for a very long time. The watch, I'm going to keep with it for a while because what if the next face doesn't fit the slot? I'm throwing away all the money for all the bands that we have, and I refuse to do that. So
I think, and I could be totally wrong, but I think Apple spent a lot of time designing the barrel and the whole clip in, the easy in, easy out.
yeah,
I think they're going to stick with that for a while.
I hope so.
They put a lot of engineering into it, and I know they could go the other way. They could be like, well, if we change it, then everybody has to buy new watches, and then we make more money. Yeah, they could do that, but
if they're not selling a lot, then there's no way I think they're going to take that risk right now.
Yeah, so I think them just releasing new colors or new styles and stuff is enough, and I really think they're going to keep it the same, and they'll just add bands to their collections, kind of like what they did with the Hermes band, that double wraparound one. I think they're going to do stuff like that where it'll be the same barrel. They've patented the barrel, and they're even selling them. So if you want to make a third-party watch, you can go and buy those barrels.
Cool.
And then you just attach it to whatever you want. And so I think they're going to leave the barrel alone. That's my opinion. I could be totally wrong. Yeah. Cross your fingers. Cross your fingers. But we'll find out in March, I guess.
I guess. I mean, unless they say, hey, we have faster response time and all that, I just don't think it's that relevant in my daily life. All right, so let's move on and let's actually pick each other's brains in regards to the next iPhone.
Yeah. Okay. So in our show notes, I had posted. Did you see the photo I posted?
I did. I'm actually looking at it right now.
So there's a little backstory to this. So the article I pulled this from was from somebody that was in the San Francisco area.
Okay.
That saw who they presume to be an Apple employee using an iPhone that didn't look like a 6 or a 6 Plus. And so what they did was, from what they saw, they went and made this mock-up.
Holy shit.
And yeah, so it could be, it's a rumor, right? It was on Mac Rumors, I think. So it's a floating rumor, but it looks like, that the corners got a little sharper, as they say here, boxier design, and very thin bezel. So pretty much what you're seeing right there is exactly what I want.
Yeah. You know why this would make sense, though, is because it could be their way of coming back at with Samsung in regards to their edge.
Yep.
And so maybe they're not curve it, but it could
right. Yeah. And I think the curve thing is kind of a bit of it's a gimmick, right? It's
right.
a lot like, the drawing on the Apple Watch. It's a gimmick.
Yeah.
And, some people like it, but it's a little weird to get used to, because now you have these two like separate touch screens. And then, well, if you're holding it, aren't you holding the curve part? Like, so there's some weird stuff going on there, but that's why I don't think Apple will do that, or something crazy like that. This, though, it's saying a boxier design. So I think they realize that this design that's curved, you have that, it's slick, right?
Yeah.
The very first day that I got my 6S, it slipped right out of my hand and fell right on the camera. So I have a nice ding and stuff on it, but it's because it's slick. It doesn't, that rounded design, it's not designed to hold. Whereas like the iPhone 5 and 5S, it had those flat edges, and it just stuck in your hand, right? And I think they're going to return to that with the 7.
Hey, that'd be really nice, though. And I have to agree on a lot of these rumors. So the fact that they're going to do away with the headset, these things are about to become obsolete.
Yes, yeah.
I think the reason why it's true is because we're hearing it so early on, and it gives us a chance to get acclimated to it, to accept the change that's going to happen, just like they got rid of the CD and DVD for MacBook.
Absolutely.
Floppy disk for the original iMac. You have, they're going to try to be ballsy about it. And now, instead of what I'm hearing, and I'm reading it from all over the place, instead of having Bluetooth headphones that you put in, just you put these buds in your ear, and then it's Bluetooth to your phone. Instead, the port is going to actually go into the bottom of right here instead.
The Lightning port, yes.
The Lightning port is going to hold it. It's not anymore. They were thinking about maybe it was going to be USB-C, but I think they're staying away from that because they are trying everything they can to nail down. USB-C is still a bit thicker than the Lightning.
It is. Yeah.
It wouldn't work.
And they spent all that money on, developing Lightning.
Right.
They're not just going to ditch it for USB-C. And I know that they were instrumental in bringing USB-C as trying to make a standard. Now, maybe one day they're going to do that, but I really think Lightning is kind of like a 10-year connector, right?
Right.
The old 30-pin lasted for about 10 years. I don't see why the Lightning wouldn't last as long.
I agree, and especially since it's supposed to be even more optimized for its current standing.
Right.
So getting away with that, or doing away with the jack for it, they'll have adapters for the people who want to put it in, and I know they're going to have all these. You have to kind of work your way into it. But what I find interesting about that as a whole is the fact that now they're going to. That's basically what that's telling me, is that they really are pushing for the water resistant or the waterproof type of phone instead of having these bulkier cases. They want to keep the phone thin and small and as less ports or anything that can get into it. And then at the same time, though, just like the next iPad Air is room to have now 4 speakers. I think what they're going to use with that extra room is have more speakers, so you can have like a dual speaker layout as of right now. So they're trying to make it even more simplistic about it. And looking based off of the model of what they have here for the supposed phone, and I'm sure we're going to see other iterations still. They want to keep this thing as tiny as possible. And now that they're going to get rid of the bump here, the nipple for the camera, and then make room for a dual camera is another strong rumor. I am really excited to see what they're going to go at that, because I am of the opinion, as many people who are covering the story is that iPhone 7 is going to be probably the last big push for them to make a stand this year and probably for the next following years, because they have to do something very drastic, because after the phone 6 and 6 Plus came out and they finally got the bigger size, and that was one of the greatest sells that they had next to then the S series, iPhone 7, they have to do something very drastic in order to keep revenue up, because they have to make money, but they have to do something so profound and even balls daring about doing something and doing away with a port, making it water resistance, having dual camera, and this is just hardware. iOS 10 or iOS X, I don't know what they will call it, and something's going to have to go to complement with it. So we're going to have the 3D touch as well, and maybe some other stuff that's going to go. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen in regards to it. I just feel like iPhone 7 is going to have to set a new standard. Otherwise, after that, they're really going to start to plateau, and then people making these rumors, oh, Apple hasn't been the same since Steve Jobs passed away and all that. And then they'll have something to really fall back on it. But yeah. I look forward to seeing what we're about to get, what we're about to see.
Yeah. The big thing about the camera is, the iPhone's always had the best camera. I mean, right. Bar none, you take a photo with the iPhone and it's just, it's damn near perfect, right? It's right there. And then they redid photos and editing photos on the fly. They have those sliders, right? Where you don't have to know anything about photo editing. If you want it brighter, you just move the brighter. And then if you want to add a little more color to it, you just move the color slider, and it figures everything else out for you, right?
Yeah.
So that's big. And if they could just keep making the camera the best camera you can get, and I really think the next step is, you do dual cameras, right? So now you're getting 2 different pictures that you can stitch together. You can do different focal lengths, and so you could have different parts of the photo focus differently and combine it into one, and so there's a lot of stuff they can do with the dual cameras. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see the dual camera. If
we get the dual camera, which I'm hoping, this will be the first time that you can actually do a proper zoom, and not because the screen is zooming in on it as a software thing, but the hardware, you're going to get an actual. You want to do a
mechanical zoom, yeah.
Exactly, and I mean, at that point, you're going to be pushing the same quality, based off the rumors I'm hearing, as DSLR cameras, which every I wouldn't say amateur vlogger or photographer is using, but DSLR is the standard that people like to use when it comes to photos or videos. And I mean, because I have them and I use them because they're so convenient. And now that's the type of quality we're going to be looking at getting, and that's cool. Did you see my latest video I put up on my channel when I recorded what was going on over at my brother's school?
I did, yes. I did see it.
All that was done on this.
That's impressive, because it looks so good.
I did that as a try. I was trying to. That was a demo of me trying to put together like a promotional video for them. Right. And I brought my tripod and I brought my camera, but I didn't bring my my lights and everything else. I just was going to do a dry run, and all I did was mount it, and then next I just started recording it, and I put at 60 frames a second instead of 30, and that thing came out so smooth. Everyone's like, people who don't even really have iPhones, like some of the older guys, they're looking at them, they're going, that is really great quality, and I'm just like, iPhone.
No, it's really amazing what they've done. That the camera is it's the selling point of the iPhone is that camera. That camera is so important, and so they need to keep pushing the envelope with the camera.
And dual is the way to go, because then you can actually have maybe 2 different formats. You can have a photo, and then you can have video. You can have video, and you can have slow-mo. You can have time lapse, and you can have slow-mo, or you get to choose your functionalities. I mean, the possibilities are near endless about what you want to do and how you can make it work with it.
Exactly. Having 2 cameras looking at the same thing, you can. There's a lot you can do there, and you have the 2 streams. You let the software do the rest. The possibilities are endless there. It's going to be really cool to see.
Tell me what your thoughts are about 16 gig phones.
Oh man. Okay. So, well, let's go with your example about video, right? So you were shooting all that video. You probably shot, how many hours were you there?
Oh yeah. So the final version you saw was under 4 minutes when I uploaded. I was there from 2 o'clock to 5:30.
Okay, and you're shooting video. So that's a pretty long stretch where you're just, you're shooting video, and then obviously you're going to cut it down for your video, right? But you want to have a lot of content. Yes. Well, you need space for content, especially if you're shooting in a really high quality at 60 frames per second. You need a lot of space for that. 16 gig doesn't cut it anymore. I cannot figure out why 16 gig is still the base model. 32 gig needs to be the base model. We are past 16 gig. And I know that Apple gives the excuse, well, you have iCloud and you yeah, okay, that's true, but you're still going to max out. You have all these apps out there. You're shooting video, you're shooting photos. Normal people don't realize that, okay, once they run out, well, do you have iCloud turned on? Is it getting uploaded? Is it not? People don't want to think about that. And having 16 gig, and this happens to my mom all the time. She'll be like, my phone stopped working. I can't take photos anymore. I'm like, well, what does it tell you? And it pops up a little message that says, oh, your iPhone is full. You need to delete apps or storage so that you can take photos. It's like, you should never run into that with an iPhone. It should just, and this goes back to their saying, right? It just works.
Right. Agreed.
16 gig does not work. I'm sorry.
For nothing, especially because now that think of all the software advancements that's made, 16 gig and already 10 of it has to go with just the already installed software.
Absolutely. Like. And then you have these Retina screens that have these massive resolutions. Mm-hmm. Well, if you're making an app that needs to utilize that resolution because it's a Retina screen and you don't want it to look like crap, you need space. So now your app grows bigger because you need these larger images to store inside the frameworks of the app. So 16 gig just needs to go. It needs to go. They need to set it at 32, or better yet, just set it at 64 and be done with it. Because then you don't have to touch it for like 4 years. And everybody would be fine. For your basic
people as well. I would have been okay with 64. I chose to get the 128 because knowing I'm going to take a lot of photos and a lot of videos, it works for me. But for your standard user who's not the most tech-savvy person, 32 could take them a long way, 64 even longer. Yeah. And really, the cost difference, you're pushing another 200 from 16 to 64. And the reason why they do it is because it's a marketing thing. They're not going to want to get the 16 gig. People get the 16 gig because like I can't afford the 64. And it's kind of like a D move to just kind of
It is. It totally is. It's them trying to make more money, right?
And it's not just Apple doing it either.
It's not. And it should be. And Apple's usually so good about, it's all about the consumer, right? It's all about making sure that they're good.
Customer experience.
Exactly. This does not help that, and they need to change it.
I agree. Well, so let's move on to our next one here, and let me ask you about this. I am not an owner of this. This is one of the few Apple products you won't see me have, but I would love to know, now that you've had it for a while, your thoughts on the new Apple TV and its experience.
Okay, so the new Apple TV is, they nailed it, I think. Bringing apps to the TV was the right move, was absolutely the right move. The UI is really clean. It's sleek. It works well. They need to work on some things. And this could just be they were trying to get it out the door and stuff. But the on-screen keyboard, it's not a QWERTY keyboard. It's not like the old Apple TV where it was like A through Z in that weird box pattern.
Right. Yeah.
It's a long line. And so with the Siri remote, you're like, you're swiping and it's not very user friendly. They are going to fix this. They might have already fixed this in an update where you can connect a Bluetooth keyboard and then you can type. So that'll help.
One of these?
Yeah, just one of those. You should be able to connect it to the Apple TV via Bluetooth, and then you can type in, and I think that'll help a lot. The keyboard, the Siri remote. Let's talk about the remote.
Yeah.
The remote is nice. It is a little small for your hand.
Okay.
There's, I know they want to go small and thin with everything, right? But the problem with that is people's hands are not getting smaller, right? And so this one's a little tough to hold. I would like to see it a little bit bigger, just because it's the physics of the matter, right? You need to have something that is comfortable in your hand. It's okay. It's not like it's horrible to use, but it could be a little bigger. And the button layout is weird. The home button is off to I think it's to the left side, and up top. And then there's a home button, and there's like a menu button, and then there's volume up, down, and play pause, I believe, is how it's broken up.
Okay.
The weird thing is the iPhone has the home button, right?
Yeah.
We've had the home button since day one. Put a home button on the remote. Put it in the bottom at the middle, because then everybody knows what it does, right? It takes you back to the home screen. Just do that on the remote. So now you're not fiddling with it. The other problem is all the buttons are similar. They're all round, and only the Siri button has like a little nipple on it that you can feel, but you can't really feel it. It's not pronounced. So I think the design of the remote leaves a little lacking. It looks good, it charges with lightning. It has its good parts, but I think they can change the design. They need to make it a little bigger, and definitely need to fix the home button for sure, because otherwise you're fumbling. You're in the dark, right? You're watching a movie, you're in the dark. You're trying to look at what it's a pain.
Would you say so? Do you use the Apple TV every day, or is it something that's not an everyday use?
So I use it every single day. It is the number one. It's pretty much the only thing that's on the TV all the time. So we got rid of DirecTV a while ago. We weren't really watching TV, so we got rid of it. So I have a Plex server set up, and the Plex app on the Apple TV is amazing. It's the best app for that thing by far.
Nice.
You set up your Plex server. I throw all my TV shows and movies in there, and you let it sync, and boom, it's right up on the Apple TV. You hit play. It never freezes or pauses or anything. It just plays. It just works right out of the box. It's amazing. Yeah.
What would you? So here's the thing. Why I don't have it yet. I have a PlayStation 4, and I'm a Netflix and Hulu and HBO subscriber, and those are my three primary that I use. And I know I can get that on the Apple TV, but then occasionally I'll get on, I'll play some video games. I'll get online, I'll play with either my brother or my friends that are not here. What is the benefit of me having an Apple TV when I can do most of that on the PlayStation?
Probably AirPlay.
Okay.
If it's into the Apple ecosystem pretty good. But if you have a PlayStation that's already doing that, I can't really see, justifying going out and getting an Apple TV. That's just
Would the Apple TV let you, does it pop up on screen when you get a text message and all that stuff as well?
No, it does not.
Okay.
That's a shame that it doesn't do that, because that would be really cool. I remember at my uncle's house, and I'm talking like probably 20 years ago.
Okay.
My uncle had, I believe it was DirecTV. So he had his internet and his phone, and everything was through DirecTV. And when he would get a phone call, it would pop up on the TV screen.
Okay.
And it would tell you who's calling, right? And then you could go answer the phone. Why the Apple TV doesn't have something like that, I don't know. Because that would be something real easy to incorporate, right?
It seems like the same thing with macOS and iOS. You have the continuity, and that's what I do. I get a text message right there. Why not Apple TV or tvOS
exactly
have the same continuity?
That's a real good question. I don't know why they didn't include it. Maybe it just didn't make the cut, and it's planned for later on down the road. But that would be.
Here's my selling point for me. I think I would buy an Apple TV if there was continuity included on there. If Apple TV supported 4K as well, and I think, and I know iOS gaming you could do on there, and I actually have a few iOS games. I play Clash of Clans, Walking Dead, the trivia game. There's a few I'm a bit more consistent on. And so, I mean, I think it's fun to do. And I know they got like their third-party controller you can use for that.
Right.
But them trying to get their foot in the market for doing gaming, I think it's an interesting way that they're trying to bring their gaming platform from iOS onto the TV. I don't think I'm sold yet on it, but for me to have, I think I use my PlayStation 80% of the time I'm watching TV of some sort. 20% is actually video game playing. So the only way I could see myself going on my way and putting $120 or $140 into an Apple TV would be if there was the continuity thing, because then I can respond to whatever I want to on the TV right there, no different than on the iMac or on my phone or the iPad. And then also having the 4K resolution, because I know we're moving towards that as well. My TV doesn't support it yet, but I'm going to be in the market of getting a 4K TV. But it's completely irrelevant unless we have the software and the hardware of other applications or consoles to help push that 4K.
Yeah,
then at that point I can get it.
Yeah, the 4K problem is nobody has the 4K content. Nobody's making 4K content.
Right.
There's some people on YouTube and stuff that are making it, but like the mainstream stuff, not quite there yet. And
I believe we'll see it. I think
we'll see it. It's
more and more.
It's probably still a couple years out before it becomes like the thing, right?
Right.
Like 1080p is still kind of rules. So
maybe that's my problem. Maybe is that I'm of the mindset that when the 4K drops and we know it's supposed to be long term, I'm going to hold on to this Apple TV for the long term. I don't buy a product except for the iPhone expecting to get a newer version the next year. That's not why I buy anything that's tech related. I buy it for long-term usage that can endure the next updates. And so even though nothing supports 4K, I want something that does the 4K, so that way when it drops, it can still handle it. But then that goes back, and another thing is then that goes back to the whole, you got the 16 gig and the 64 gig or 32 gig. And so there's different models, so it can hold all the other things that you download, and 4K will take up a lot of space naturally. So that's something we also got to keep in mind. But if it's all a streaming service, your internet provider has to also play a big part of being able to support the content. I tried watching just one 5K video on YouTube, and every single time I pulled it up, the video crashes because it can't support it. And that's the problem with it right now, is just the bandwidth isn't there yet. We're not quite there. And that could be, the CDNs and stuff need to be upgraded, the routers, switches, all the back end stuff could just be old, and that needs to be upgraded. Yeah. That takes time, right? Because you have all that stuff everywhere. Yeah, it's still a few years out, I think. Before. Would you say it's a goodbye, though? Would you say getting Apple TV was a goodbye?
For me, absolutely, yes. Plex makes it. It totally makes it. If the original Apple TV, I had an Apple TV 2. All my content lives on a Drobo. So I have an 8 terabyte Drobo where I store all my movies, all my TV shows, everything lives there. In order to get it to my TV, I had to jailbreak the Apple TV.
I got you.
The Apple TV was jailbroken, and then I was able to install a player that would actually read the files off of a network share. And that's how I had it set up. Well, now I don't need to do that. Now I don't need to jailbreak anything. I download the Plex app. I set up a Plex server. Boom, I'm done. And it works everywhere. I can stream all my stuff across the internet to wherever I'm at. So it's, that's a whole nother discussion for Plex. We could add that to, another episode, right?
Right.
And we can talk about.
Yeah, because I want to pick your brain about that.
Yeah, so we can add that to another discussion. But the Apple TV for me, great buy. Totally worth it. Totally worth the. I think it was $150. I got the 32 gig, not the 64. I think that was $200. So I got the $150 one. Worth it. Worth every penny for me. I use it daily and multiple times a day. So
cool. So then I get to live vicariously through you about the user experience about that.
Sure.
I try to convince when I make a buy, it's not just for me. I have to make sure that everybody who comes over, or even my roommates and stuff, that they want to see the stuff because I could be using it all I want and it means absolutely nothing if they don't even care for it. So I think I might, if there's a next update or if there's even a software update that comes out that like, hey, Randy, they fixed this. All this stuff is continuity is involved and you have all this now. That might actually push me more to get it because as of right now for me, it's not a necessary thing that I need for me to watch all my shows.
And so, well, one more thing about that. The rumor has always been that Apple was going to come out with its own TV service.
Right, yeah.
And so the big rumor and everything about that was, okay, they couldn't get the content deals done. So let's just release the Apple TV now, and then when we get the deals done, we'll add it to the Apple TV, and it'll just plug right in. So still waiting for that to happen. The last rumor I heard about it was they still don't have the deals done yet.
Yeah.
So we need to wait a little bit for that. I don't know how much something like that would cost, but how much do you pay? It's $8 for Netflix.
$8 for Netflix. 13 for ad-free Hulu,
okay.
And I think 13 for HBO.
Okay.
No, 30. I don't remember HBO.
I think HBO's 15.
I mean, it's 15. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
15, right. Yeah.
I don't remember. Maybe I think I got 30 because I added up all those numbers.
Right.
But it's still cheaper than what it was when I had regular cable with internet and stuff like that.
So you don't have cable anymore?
Negative. I stopped using cable since 2011.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We're right behind you. I think it was like 2013 or so, maybe 14 that we killed it.
You're paying for content that you don't watch. I don't really care what's going on personally for the Food Network. That's not my interest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'd much rather focus my money on what I want and what I'm actually going to watch. So
last question about the Apple TV. Did you watch the Super Bowl on it?
That was my original plan, but they didn't have any of the pre-show stuff.
Oh, okay.
And so we were like, well, we want to watch all of the build up to it.
Why? It's just the Broncos.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. We are world champions, though. Thank you.
Hey,
applause. Come on.
Between the Panthers and the Broncos, I went with the. You saw me. I flipped the coin. That was it. I did it right there. That was live time. I was undecided. I was like, good for them. I have nothing against the Broncos. I just I was undecided. And,
sure.
But hey, I've been. I think I could say I had more fun in Colorado than I did in North Carolina. So I go for the Broncos.
Okay, good. I like the sound of that.
There you go.
Plus, out there in San Diego, you guys, when we played you guys out there, the stadium was orange. Everybody was wearing orange. So you guys are pretty much Bronco fans.
So the thing about that, though, is that San Diego is one of the biggest military cities in the world, and you're going to get everybody over here. And I'm almost going to say we have a few bandwagon people. I was like, I just saw you wearing Seahawks last week. How dare you put that jersey on? You're a phony. So, but hey, whatever.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. So no, we did not watch it on the Apple TV. I wanted to. That was my original plan. Yeah. But because we did the pre-content, I had bunny ears on my TV. That's how I get my local channels. I have bunny ears. I've gone back in time, right? But that's how we watched the Super Bowl because it was on, and it's like, well, I don't really want to switch over and miss anything, so just left it.
Because once you blink, that's it. Your team's losing.
I was afraid that it's like, okay, if I switch over and it's starting to lag, and it's like, oh man, what's going on? It's like, so I just left it because it was working. Why mess with it?
Yeah. So I do have to ask one more off-tech question though.
Okay.
Do you think Manny's going to retire now?
Yeah, I think he's done.
You think he's done?
I think he's done. I think
he's earned it. He can hang up his jersey now.
Yeah, I think he went out on top, and I think just move on and go become a commentator or come be a coach for the Broncos.
That'd be cool, isn't it?
I could see that happening too. You never know with Elway. Elway running the show. You just never know. So, I think he's done.
Yeah, I mean, good on him. Another reason why I really did want the Broncos to win is just, let the man win his last Super Bowl. So I was of the opinion he was going to retire 2 years ago. last year. You know, like going all the way back to when when he went up against Seattle. I thought that was it. That like I can't play, but then I feel like he's like I refuse to let that be my legacy. And
I'm glad he didn't. He definitely deserved to go out on top. He's one of those great guys and great quarterbacks. So it was good to see.
All right, let's get back on topic now.
All right.
I wanted to pick your brain about that. So, Apple versus FBI.
Oh, here we go. Yes.
This was not going to be a part of our notes. It's just something that it came out of nowhere. But I mean, I think anybody who knows anything about tech and Apple knows what's going on in regards to this. And so, sparing the details about it, what are your thoughts about that?
My thoughts are they're on the right side. The court case, pretty much told Apple, you need to go rewrite iOS so there's a back door that the FBI can use so that we can unlock this guy's phone. Like, what? No. Wait, hold on. You can't just put in a back door for the FBI so that they can spy on everybody. That's just not how that works. And
if you had the keys to the internet and they said, just go and like, I'm asking you as in you, and I give you the key to the internet, and then you go in there because I just need you to go look at this one website for this one profile so you can get me this person's phone number. The temptation alone to have that type of power.
Yeah.
And just for that? No way.
No. That's
Even at that point, Apple can't control it. It's out of their hands. There's no way they can stop that back door.
And that's what they've done with iOS to date, right?
Yeah.
They have completely encrypted it. So all your stuff's encrypted. They can't decrypt it. They don't have the keys. They have designed their system so that you can't get into it. Apple can't get into it. The police can't get into it. The only person that can get into it is you. That's it. And that's how it should be. This is a free country. The government cannot spy on you. That's not how this works. And this court order basically said, you need to let us spy on everybody. And Apple said, no, that's not how this works.
I have to applaud Tim Cook for taking the moral ground, knowing he was going to get backlash. I think what that tells me is that for the perception that corporations are bought out for even bigger players and they're in bed with the government, this isn't a political move because Apple might be a more liberal type of area as opposed to anything else. It seems like this was just right and wrong, that we can't do it like this. If you can get because he had the thing is they can't get to the guy's phone. He had the 5C. If he had the 5S or the next one up and he had a fingerprint, take the dude's fingerprints and try to unlock it or what have you. But they designed it for that. And as Tim Cook said, he appreciates, or he knows that they're probably doing it with good intentions, but that you can't risk. I'm not a gambling type of person, but if I was, I would not put my money on that because there's no checks and balance. You can't control it after that. Even if everybody did it in the exact same room, hey, Apple's in here, FBI's in here, we're just gonna do it right here in this room. The person does it. There has to be, once the software is pushed, and now it's out there, hackers are gonna find a way to get into it just so they can have that accessibility, because it's better to have the power and maybe not use it than to not have that power at all. If I was a hacker like that, I would want to have the keys to everything I could just to keep it in my back pocket to protect my personal interests and stuff like that. There's no way you can control it. So I have to applaud Tim Cook and the whole Apple team about just, saying no and then going public about it. Because then I think about all the other companies that wouldn't go quiet about it. Maybe they did just, hey, yeah, sure, FBI, there you go. But it's nice to see that, you got people on Facebook and Twitter and everybody at Google saying, hey, good job, Apple. We stand behind you on that.
Yeah. And so if you back it up a little bit, so the story is Apple initially tried to help them.
Right.
And so they asked him, hey, we got a terrorist here. We want to get into his phone. And Apple's like, okay, well, we'll take a look at it, right? Well, they go and look at it, and they're like, well, you guys, the FBI changed the passcode. They went and changed the passcode. It's like, oh, okay. You guys changed the passcode, which screwed up I guess it messed with the iCloud sync.
Okay.
And so they would have been fine if they went to a known Wi-Fi network, they would have been able to get in and not have any issues. Well, they changed the passcode and screwed it up. And then the FBI is like, well, okay, you guys just need to rewrite iOS so that we can get in. And while you're at it, just rewrite the whole thing for everybody so that if this ever happens again, we can just come to you and you guys can unlock it for us. And Apple, and that's when Apple's like, no, time out. That's not how this works. This is not going to happen. Tim Cook writes the letter, sends it off, makes it public, and say, hey, screw you guys. You know, that's not how this works. We tried to help you. You guys screwed yourself.
That's not our problem.
That's not our problem. Yeah.
Right.
So
it's not like they're saying like, oh, we don't care about what happened in San Bernardino. It's not our problem. You know,
Right,
that's not their job.
Right.
Okay, let's walk away from Apple as a whole for a bit, and let's actually kind of shift subjects about. Let's talk about VR, virtual reality, and Oculus Rift coming out next month.
Right.
And let's talk about that, because that's some pretty futuristic stuff. That's
yeah. And Facebook, because Facebook bought Oculus, right?
Right.
They put a ton of money into this. Facebook really thinks VR is the next big thing, right? And so I don't know. I don't know what to think. I've never tried it. I've done the cardboard one.
Okay.
You put it on. You put your phone into the cardboard and then you kind of look around, and it's pretty cool. You know, it's.
I haven't even done that yet.
It's pretty cool. It's interesting. It's not. It's definitely not very immersive because it's a cardboard box that you're putting to your face, right? But it still has some cool effects, and you can, you look around and it moves and you can see stuff. So I guess I can see the appeal to it, but for me to really grasp it and want to go spend money on it, I think I need to get one of those big ones that straps to your head and you have like the gloves and you can actually touch stuff and do things with it to really fully embrace it or even understand it.
Right. Yeah. I think there's I'm gonna tell you a story.
Okay.
So there's a video game that got canceled about it was part of the Silent Hill series, and it's a horror series universe that they do.
What's it called?
It's what I'm about to tell you is called PT. So it's the playable trailer of Silent Hills, but
Okay. I think I've heard of this.
It got canceled.
Yeah.
They put on the Oculus, right? And now they're playing this playable trailer, which by itself in 2D scared the living, poop out of me. And I remember the first time I ever played it, my controller was dying, but I've seen it through, and then my controller died, and my character's just standing there. I'm in this haunted place. I was so scared. I played it at nighttime. Biggest mistake in my life. That was the first time in my life since I was like 3 years old, and I played one of the original Resident Evil games. That was the first time in my life that after I played that game, I had nightmares because it was that haunting to me. And afterwards, and after I got over the initial scare, I fell in love with it. I loved every moment of it, and I would play it over and over again just so I can get that adrenaline rush. So they put it on VR, and they had to stop because when they were walking around this mansion and now everything's there, when they took off the headset, they still saw
time to stand up.
Time to stand. Oh, hey.
According to my watch, time to stand up.
I just got it too.
Yep.
That's it. We're stretching, and we're back.
We're good.
But yeah, so when they took off the headset, it was too real. They would still see this dead girl after they've detached from that, reality of it.
That's crazy.
And so they're like, we can't do this, and they stopped it. And at that point, I'm thinking, I can't wait to play horror games on this thing because that alone is going to freak me out. Imagine people who get out of the military and they miss that itch about going back to combat or something. Now they can actually get back in there and do what they got to do.
Boom, you're right there. Yeah.
I have to go with Facebook and pretty much anybody else who's really backing this up that this is going to be the next big jump, and this is the year it's happening. I look forward to it. I haven't done anything 3D related. The last thing I did 3D related wasn't even the movies. I was at Universal Studios and I was doing the Terminator experience, and so I had these 3D glasses on and it came out. That was it. I've never really participated in 3D stuff And that's because I don't want to do it half-assed. I want to really really be a part of it. And hearing stories like that PT, stories like that make me go,
Yeah. It makes it exciting, right? It's like, yeah, I want to be scared like that. I want to have that experience. I want this piece of technology to give me that type of experience. And so,
right.
yeah, I could see VR being that way for sure.
And now let's talk about augmented reality.
Yeah, let's jump to that. So let's talk about Microsoft's HoloLens. Have you seen that?
Negative, not yet.
So that's basically my phone's going off. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
So it's the real world. So you're wearing glasses, but you're actually seeing what's in front of you. But the HoloLens is actually placing things like on your wall. You could have a picture on your wall, and it's changing what's up on there, or it's a TV screen. It's a channel playing up there, and so as you're looking around, it projects it, but as you move, it stays on the wall, and you can manipulate digital things kind of in the real world. So, say on your table, it could put like physical documents, but they're digital documents that you can then rifle through, and you can do all these different things through the HoloLens, and it's all augmented reality. So it's a little different than virtual, because virtual reality puts you in a whole new world. Augmented reality is
everything's artificial for VR.
Exactly, and augmented reality is the real world, but now we're putting digital things everywhere.
One of the things that's really getting hyped up about this year, for augmented reality, is the online play of this new Pokemon game called Pokemon Go. And truth be told, I didn't hear about it until about maybe 2 months ago.
Okay.
And I didn't know much about it. I haven't really played any Pokemon games since, I was a kid and I was playing like the original ones. After that, I kind of lost touch of it, maybe because the repetition of it got boring. And then when I heard about Pokemon Go, it piqued my interest in a whole new way, because exactly what you're saying, you're going to play this game now. And I don't know if it's Google one big competitor is really about this game, and they're either supporting it or they're an investor. I don't know, but you're going to be able to walk around outside, find other people who play this game, and right there, I don't know if it's with Google Glass or maybe it's something with Microsoft, but you're going to have the tools with you to play, and then you can fight other people in these battles in real time outside all over the place. Where they'll have like designated gyms where you can go, and the hype about it is so big that it caught my attention for someone who hasn't played it in 10 years, maybe more. No, even less, more than that, 10, 15 years. Anyway, it's been a long time. And stuff like that, I think that's awesome, because not only now are you having the augmented reality part of it, but then there's also interaction with other players as well. And so you just got Pokemon. Now imagine if you got to do like a real life Clue or a real life, I can see this when it gets really pushed, like, first person shooters, because you are the first person shooter. So Call of Duty AR or something, right? And it's just going to have designated locations. They're going to build arenas where people can go in there and have the next laser tag advancement almost, and explosions, and I'm so pumped about this.
So you need to check out. So Google has a game. It's called Ingress, and I just threw it in the show notes if you want to look at it. But Ingress is just like that. So it's a game that you play on your phone.
Okay.
But you physically have to go to places where you can do stuff where other people are.
Okay.
And I played it a little bit back when I had my Android phone. I was playing this because it was only on Android at the time, and they now have it for iPhone. But you have to go to a place, and then you have to like mine stuff from they were reactors or something. They're virtual reactors, but they're at physical locations.
Okay.
And then you can see the other people around you also playing the game. And then you can work in conjunction with each other to like destroy stuff or build stuff. And it's a lot like what you're talking about.
That's really awesome, man.
You should check that out and see if that's kind of what you're what you're excited about. It's a different game, but kind of the same premise.
I'll look at it and I'll probably give my thoughts about it for the next podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
So, podcast. What type of podcast app or apps do you use?
Okay, so for me, I use the app called Overcast. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
No.
It's made by a guy, Marco Arment, and if you listen to the podcast, Accidental Tech Podcast, ATP, have you listened to it?
Yeah.
Okay, so Marco's on that podcast. It's Marco, John Siracusa, and Casey Liss, and those three guys. Marco is an app developer. He created Instapaper, and he created Tumblr. I don't know if you knew that, but his new project is Overcast, and it's a podcast player, and it is by far the best podcast player you can get. It has write it down. It has this thing called Smart Speed. I don't know if you can see it, but basically what Smart Speed is instead of like playing the audio faster, so doing like a 1.5 speed up where people are talking much faster, instead of doing that, it keeps the voices the same, but when there's a pause, it cuts the pause out. And it does this on the fly real time. So it's cutting the pauses out, and it could take like a 2-hour podcast, but if there's a bunch of these breaks in between, and it could be a small break, right? It'll cut that down, and it'll take that 2-hour podcast and make it 1:15. Nice. So it saves you time while you're listening, but you're not getting that weird squirrel voice, basically.
Right? Yeah. No, that's legit. Nice.
Yeah, it's the best part of the app for sure, and it's clean. It's minimalist. It looks really good. If you're playing a podcast, it's clean. Like, here's your podcast, big play button and everything. It's very clean. It's very well done. He's on 2.0 right now.
Okay.
And I think he's always constantly working on it. But yeah, definitely go get it. It used to be, it is a free app. It's always been a free app, but like the Smart Speed, you used to pay like an in-app upgrade fee. It was like $5, but he doesn't have that anymore. So now if you want to contribute to him developing the app, he has a Patreon that you can sign up for and send him money that way.
Hey, let's put a link in that, either in our description or in the comments then about that.
Yeah, let's do that. One more point about it is because he does everything on his own back-end server, so you set up an account and he handles all the back-end stuff. You can actually go to a web page like overcast.fm and log into your account and play your podcast where you left off in the browser. So if you're sitting at the computer, you can play it there.
Nice.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, for me, the only app that I use, admittedly, it's not really designed for podcasts, but I use it, is SoundCloud, and that's my go-to, only because the people who I do listen to, who will do video as well with, or it can be audio only or with the video on YouTube, they upload it immediately to iTunes and then SoundCloud. So I use that one, and it's a bit of a higher end production, so they won't have those cuts that go into it. It's really edited and then posted a few hours later, so they get rid of all that, and they're well seasoned podcasters, so they know what they're doing. But for people like you and me, I can actually really see that being very beneficial. So
So tell me a little bit more about the SoundCloud app. Can you add any podcast you want, or is it just the ones that are on SoundCloud?
So how it works is, look at it like the audio version of YouTube. So you can create an account, and a lot of YouTubers will also have a SoundCloud account, so that way they can actually then just put their podcasts on there. And then they also use it's used for music as well. So it's something that you can stream on the go. You don't have to have the app open. You can close it and it's still playing when it needs to play. So
Which YouTube doesn't do unless you pay for Red.
Yeah. So people use SoundCloud for that. You put on there, You can close the app or close your phone as a whole, and then there you go. It works. I like SoundCloud because it's also good on just taking the emblem of it and putting it on a website, and then if you have your page on a little corner, they have the play button, and you play it. And it'll play whatever it wants to play. You can have certain parts only play to if you want to. So it's an audio site, and it's very audio driven, but I like it for the people that I listen to. But a lot of the more underground stuff for unknown persons, people that use it, I don't think I'd be able to find them as convenient unless you use the hashtag and you find it that way. It's not really designed for podcasts for people that want to make edits to it. It's more like your final destination. Upload it, and there you go.
Yep, I was gonna say my brother who is writing his own music. He's doing rap music. He's actually really good. Nice. He has a SoundCloud and he uploads his stuff there. So
I want to see it.
Yeah,
I want that in the description or in the comments as well.
I will add it in there so that everybody can see it. But he's really good, and he uses SoundCloud, and that's pretty much where he throws his music up on. I think he does iTunes and Spotify and stuff too, but I think he started at SoundCloud. So
nice. That's where I started, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe we want to consider using SoundCloud and putting the podcast there too.
I like that idea. Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Yeah, we'll work out those details then.
All right. Well, I think this is a good place to stop it for now. Just to kind of see where we went. Questions I want to ask everybody who's watching or listening to this is, what are your thoughts about the FBI Apple case that's going on right now? Where do you stand with it? Do you think the FBI has the rights to do it? Do you think Apple took the right approach of saying no, enough is enough? Also, what is your expectations in regards to the next iPhone iteration? What would you like to see if we didn't cover it, or are you completely done with it? And if you're not an Apple user, if you're an Android user or a Windows user, why do you like it? As instead of it just being an open source, what features do you like about it? What hardware features do you want to see in future tech? And also, what apps do you use when you listen to podcasts? Do you use SoundCloud? Do you use the app that Mike said? And if you have a different one that you use that we don't know about it, let us know about it so we can check it out, because us being up and coming people, we want to know what we're working with and what we can use the tools to help us get there. So, and also I have to give a shout out to my roommate Jordan, who is not home. He lives behind that door right there, but he helped Mike and I do a quick logo that we have of us. So you'll see it either up on the screen. I don't know yet. It's definitely going to be on our Facebook page, our Twitter page. We're going to have an Instagram page. We're going to have social media. Everything is Hurry Up and Tech. HurryUpandTech.com, YouTube, all of it. So if you see the demo logo now, that is shout out to Jordan, because he's very Photoshop friendly and he knows what he's doing. And I have to thank him for that.
I'd like to add one more thing. So we'd like any questions or comments about, the podcast in general. If you have any tips for us or suggestions, we're open to it. Hit us up on Twitter or Facebook, wherever, we are definitely open to that, and we can improve the podcast as we go. And definitely if you have, Randy asked you guys a bunch of questions, add your questions and we'll collect them, and then we'll answer them on the next one. We'll have a little follow-up section for the following podcasts.
Yeah, to be determined right now, but my questions will be in the description. Links to the stuff that Mike was talking about also in the description. And let's start a conversation going, so that way we have stuff to talk about. And I know that Mike and I will want to bring on some guests in the future. So if there's something you guys want to see, let us know. We're going to try to cover a lot of topics, not just Apple, but anything and everything tech related, from consumer electronics to bigger end stuff. All that stuff is to come in the near future.
And so, sneak peek, we're discussing topics for future episodes. We're thinking of the aerospace industry, since that's where I work. So we're thinking about talking about SpaceX and the JWST telescope, that type of technology. And then we're also thinking about talking about Tesla and electric cars and where that's all going. So we have a wide range of topics we want to cover.
Yeah. So thank you all for watching, and we will be back again shortly. Later.